How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to be replacing the coolant in a 2004 350Z. I've had this since 2005 or 6. 2015 it was dropped off my parents' house in Texas. It's pretty much sat there since 2015. Recently just made the drive from Houston to Las Vegas. And so now we're going to start just doing some routine maintenance. First of all, we're going to use this Prestone flush and cleaner. We got a lot of distilled water. We got new coolant going in too. We also have a new thermostat. Nothing's wrong with the current thermostat right now, but figure it's old, and since everything's getting replaced and the fluid will be drained out anyway, now's a perfect time. That just goes right there. You can see 3 bolts hold it in. 1, 2, and 3, and a couple hoses, and when the system's fully drained out, it'll be easy to replace. First thing you want to do is obviously jack up your car. I already have it jacked up now, and remove the front under tray. I have the Z-Speed one. It's metal. It's super nice. Makes oil changes easy because you have this nice big cover where the pan is, so you can just remove these 2 bolts and you have access to the whole oil pan. You can also do this too. This is the hole where the radiator drain plug is. It's on the front driver's side. But I just removed it. I don't want coolant and water going everywhere and messing up the garage floor and everything. So I already have that out. So first thing you're going to do, once it's already jacked up and out, is find your radiator drain, and we're under it on the driver's side. You can see the lower radiator hose here, and then here's your drain. Just gonna unscrew this. It's a little petcock valve. Make sure you have a big container. It holds about 2 gallons of fluid. What we're gonna do is I got one of these turkey or whatever from pans from a grocery store, and these work great. It's a lot of capacity. I used it to change coolant in a Mustang earlier, which I already sold. And obviously make sure everything's cool. There's no pressure in the system. This has been sitting for over 24 hours now, so it's perfectly cool. So we're gonna get under there, undo the petcock valve, and let everything drain out. So here we are under the car, just undoing the valve. And once it comes out, coolant's gonna start coming out. Put your pan underneath it, and to make it come out a little easier, we're gonna undo your radiator cap. And there you go. Now you get a steady flow with your radiator cap undone. It's all about this car while coolant continues to drain out. I got this. Said an 05, probably 18,000 miles. It was only a year old. In 2010, February 2010, I got a Greddy twin turbo kit for it. It has a 20G turbos, stock motor, so it's only running 8 psi. I made somewhere between 370 and 400 horsepower with the wheels. Boosted it at 30,000 miles in 2010. It's 2018 now. It has 97,000 miles. No issues with it on the low boost, only 8 psi. This motor's not meant for boosted application, so kept it low, kept it safe. It's been running perfect. One thing it did have was a boost leak on one of the pipes on the turbo side, on the passenger side, way down there. I didn't want to mess with it. I didn't have a lift or any good tools back then, so I paid someone to do that. But other than that, it's been a pretty good car. I don't know what I'm going to do with this because I still have the GTR, and I have this Integra GSR project that I'm also working on. So not quite sure what the plan's going to be, but as it stands now, it's running just fine. So I'm going to keep it like it is, and fingers crossed nothing happens to it. And for now, we'll go ahead and change the thermostat. As you can see, it's just 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 2 hoses, So you just need a wrench and something to undo your hose clamps. We use pliers here and just a screwdriver there. With the old thermostat out, more coolant came out from there. Just make sure you wash it off your belts and stuff if it gets on, and your pulleys. If you didn't get a new gasket, it's a metal gasket. You can try to clean it off and reuse it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The new one's gonna go in the same orientation as the old one. Just bolt it in, put the two hoses back. You got your lower radiator hose and then this one right here. Tighten the clamps, and then we can go ahead and start refilling it with some distilled water. Well, disaster struck. Little clip broke off when I was trying to pull it off. No problem though. O'Reilly's Auto Parts, 99 cents for a new one. These are a lot easier anyway. You just screwdriver to tighten it, untighten it. Cleaned up the gasket here. Gonna slap that on and then reinstall this new thermostat. Then we could start the flush process. Alright, new thermostat on. Tighten down. Hose clamps tighten down too. New thermostat in, and our drain plug at the bottom installed. We'll go ahead and pour in our cleaner. We're not doing a deep clean, so it just says fill up the full system with 1 bottle of this and the rest with distilled water. It's about 2 gallons here, so we'll put this in, pouring about 2 gallons of distilled water, and then we're gonna run the car on high operating temperature, thermostat on hot for 10 minutes. All right, it's a little loud, but the car's on. The instructions say just let it run to operating temperature. Once it's at operating temperature, you're gonna leave it high heat for 10 minutes, and that's just to have the coolant radiator system cleaner flush all throughout your system and get any gunk you may have out. And also, since we replaced some hose and the thermostat, we'll go in there and make sure there's no leaks. And also at the bottom, another important thing to note, once you start getting our coolant in there, final time, and we're done flushing it out, is burping your system. Any air that gets caught in your system, you would need to get it out. Here's a relief valve. Just unscrew it. You should see coolant coming in here. That goes into your heater core inside the car. So any air, if you undo that, should come out through there. Some other tips people like to do, they like to squeeze your upper and lower radiator hoses. So this would be your lower radiator hose, and your upper one would be this one here. You can squeeze it, you can kind of help the bubbles come out, air bubbles come out that way too. First flush with the cleaner and some distilled water. Let's see what this stuff looks like. That looks like there's still some coolant in there. It's still green. Let's help the flow out. Yeah, it looks like there was still some coolant left in there. Alright, drain number 2. Let's see if it's mostly still water, we still got coolant in here or what. It's coming out pretty clear, slight tint of green. So still a little bit of coolant left in there. Next drain, let's see what it looks like. There we go. Now it's coming out mostly clear. Just so you guys know, whenever I would drain the coolant or the distilled water from the coolant tank, I would undo this valve back here that goes to your heater core, as well as the radiator cap. Then I would come under here and undo the drain plug, and that's pretty much nothing but straight water coming out. So the next time I fill it up will be with the coolant. While the rest of this stuff drains out, I got the concentrated stuff, so be sure, look at your manual, see the correct mixture. I'm just going to do a 50-50 mix, so 50% of your concentrated stuff, the other 50% distilled water. I'm using an empty bottle here, and I'm just pouring in equal parts distilled water and antifreeze, and that's how I'm going to do my mixture. So with the drain plug back installed, we're going to start filling up our pre-mixed coolant and distilled water through the radiator. Also, don't forget to do your reservoir. And then once this is full of coolant, you'll notice if you come over here to the bleeder valve here, since it sits higher level than the actual radiator, this will still be full, or it won't be full. So once your radiator's fully full of coolant, we're going to come here, put a little in here, and then we'll cap everything up and make sure everything works as usual, the car doesn't overheat. And with our radiator completely full, our reservoir full, come back here, notice there's still some air in these hoses, so we're going to go ahead and fill this up a little bit too. With your radiator full, this doesn't take much before it starts going over, so just be careful on how much you put in and go slow. A new day, let it go up to operating temperature last night, left it there for about 10 minutes. Wasn't leaking any fluid or anything, and temperature gauge stayed stable in right in the middle where it should. Turned it off, let it sit overnight. Recently rechecked this. This needed a little bit in the radiator, and then again back here in the breather valve down here, I needed to put some more in there to fill that up. And that should be it, honestly. Hopefully, if you're not getting hot air inside or it's overheating slightly, you can loosen up the breather valve back there, and some people like to squeeze the upper and lower radiator hoses, maybe try to get some air pockets out. But other than that, that should be everything you need to do. If you might be another couple cycles just to make sure the fluids aren't going down, but other than that, it should be done.